if you want to understand why the citizens of America are feeling increasingly more miserable these days, is because they are only working for the flesh. They are not working in the Spirit. It talks about this in Galatians. Galatians 5:16 states, "But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other, to keep you from doing the things you want to do." So you cannot be doing things for the desire of the flesh and the Spirit simultaneously. They are opposed to each other. People in America today are going for what pleases them in the short term, but not what pleases the Creator or what pleases God. And that's why they're so miserable today. Now it further states in the chapter, Galatians 5, if you go to chapter 19, "Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, divisions, dissensions, envy, drunkenness, orgies." Let's break all these down. So, sexual immorality. You look around at modern music, you look at modern television, all over the internet, what do you see? You see sexual immorality. You see impurity all the time. It is promoted in popular culture, especially in rap music. You see these rappers that get high, they get drunk, and that is pleasing the flesh. You look at that as a young, susceptible person, and then your brain accepts that as the norm. That's the whole point. And when you accept that as the norm, what ends up happening is you think that's the way to go. And then you are working for the flesh. Now, sensuality, I think is the way to put it, is the pursuit of pleasure, especially sexual pleasure. That is trying to please the senses instead of the Spirit, which is the flesh, especially sex. Idolatry. Now, here's the thing about idolatry. We don't worship idols in the same way that we used to anymore. We used to worship literal idols, especially the Greeks and the Romans, based upon their religion. But now idolatry is more about worshiping humans, worshiping what is in the flesh instead of the Spirit. Worshiping for someone like Michael Jordan. I mean, I like Michael Jordan. He's a great basketball player. But worshiping him as a man, worshiping these actors, that is idolatry. We put them on pedestals as humans and we worship them. Sorcery. Now, people don't really think that is big, but if you look into the Illuminati, you look into these entities, these demonic entities that are trying to destroy the country, they are involved in witchcraft. A lot of them use rituals from the Babylonian Hermetic mystery schools. You have strife, which is anger or bitter over fundamental issues. You look around and people are in strife all the time. We're always asking ourselves, what is the role of government? What is the role of America? Jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries. We see rivalries forming, especially in the political arenas. Dissensions. And dissensions are disagreements that lead to discord. You see that all the time. Just go on social media. Go on Facebook. Divisions. The media and the politicians are trying to sow on that. On the divisions. Now, the whole goal of a politician is to increase the turnout for the base. And the way you do that is you make them angry at the opposition. The media is trying to divide us because they want a one world government. And the way they're doing that is by portraying white against black, black against white, gay against straight, trying to make us against one another. That's what the media is doing. The media is demonic from hell. Envy, drunkenness, orgies and things like that. And you get further into chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 6 to 9. Let the one who is taught of the word share all the good things that one teaches. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For, and here's the key, whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows to the Spirit will come from the Spirit reap eternal life. What are these people reaping? It's like when you grow crops. Here in East Tennessee, we used to do a lot of that. You grow the crop, you put in a tomato seed, what are you going to get? A tomato plant, right? Well, you reap what you sow. And people in Hollywood, people in everyday life, they are sowing the seeds of the flesh. And they're reaping the corruption off of it. You know, if I get drunk tonight, right, what's going to happen? I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel bad, right? But if I get plenty of sleep, if I stay in the Word, I'm going to feel good, right? Because I'm reaping what I'm sowing. And over time, the more seeds you plant in your mind, the garden of your mind, the more thoughts are going to grow. Mr. Rogers talked about this, the garden of your mind. People now are reaping the seeds of the flesh. Sorcery, idolatry, jealousy, and they're miserable because of that. That's why suicide rates in the first world are skyrocketing. That's why anxiety, depression. I have a friend, she works in a pharmacy. She said the number one drug that they give is for anxiety. Because if you focus on the flesh instead of the spirit, you're going to reap that. And that's what Satan wants. Satan wants you to have anxiety. Satan wants you to feel helpless. And so these are just some of my thoughts. I asked God to speak to me because I wasn't really happy with where I'm at in my life. As I focused on this, I need to focus in the spirit instead of the flesh, and so I can reap it. Because for the longest time, I've been focusing on the flesh and reaping the rewards of the flesh. So now I'm ready to reap the rewards of the Spirit. Plant the thoughts physically in my mind to stay by the Spirit.